Hurricane Ian making landfall and rampaging through Florida. Let's now talk to Florida Senator Marco Rubio. Senator, would you like to say anything first directly to the people of Florida?
Well, it's going to be a long 36 hours. This is a slow-moving storm. We've got all kinds of risks here. The storm surge has gotten a lot of attention, rightfully so. There's going to be a lot of rain on already drenched land, and so you're going to have flooding that way. We have tornado warnings that extend now out all the way to eastern central Florida. Of course, the wind. This is still going to be a Category 2, maybe low Category 3 hurricane as it works its way through central Florida. So already over 1 million people without power. We'll get an update here in a few minutes, but that number will continue to climb as we head into the night hours. So it's a very dangerous storm, and it's going to be hours in most places before rescue crews can go out and rescue people, and we can start getting an assessment. We've got a long day and a half ahead.
Yeah, and we're going to have that update live at the bottom of the hour with the governor. We're going to take it around the table. Senator, here's Dana Perino.
Hi, Senator. I wondered what you have heard about federal-state coordination. We know that the governor and the president spoke last night, but from your vantage point as a U.S. Senator, are you satisfied with the cooperation and coordination? Is there anything else you need the federal government to do for the people of Florida?
Well, I spoke to the director over at FEMA this afternoon again, and these guys are professionals over there, and Florida has worked very closely with FEMA for years. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of storms, so the coordination is about as good as I've ever seen it. And so there's all kinds of assets on standby and ready to come in and assist the state in whatever those needs are. A lot of those forces, a lot of those groups, whether it's task force for search and rescue, the linemen that are ready to come in and begin restoring power, they're already pre-positioned. They just got to wait for conditions to be safe. The one thing we really emphasized in our call today is we're going to need a lot of help with debris removal, bulk removal of debris, because until we get those roads cleared, after the storm has passed, you can't even start the work of doing some of these things. So, but I'm very satisfied. I think the cooperation has been excellent. It always has been. But today, at this moment, it's better than it's ever been in terms of before a storm.
Bill.
Senator Bill Hemmer, thank you for your time. I'm wondering about these islands in Southwest Florida that really have taken a direct hit. You move south of Sarasota, you're going to Boca Grande and Captiva, Marco Island, Sanibel Island. Sanibel Island's elevation is 3 feet above seawater. What are you hearing from that part of the state, if anything, now, Senator?
Well, we're not hearing a lot, obviously. A lot of those people are starting to get cut off. They've lost power. They're maybe even cell service to some extent. We do have people taking videos from the 5th floor of a tall building. But now what they have to understand, and why we wanted them to evacuate, is we can't get to them. They may be stuck there for a while. I posted images, just somebody took some video, actually, that's been forwarded to us, and you can see how quickly the water came in. It's going to stand there now for a while. And so it's going to take a while before we have a real assessment. Now, fortunately, it appears most people heeded those warnings, but some did not. And so now it's going to be some time before we can get there. And it is the storm surge event. Luckily, it's not Tampa, because that would have been truly catastrophic from a dollar standpoint. It's still going to be pretty bad up there. They're not out of the woods by any stretch. But it's in that southwest Florida area, Port Charlotte, places like that, going all the way down to Naples, where you're already seeing the flooding and the storm surge impact that it's had. And I still think there's hours ahead, or you can see in the images, hours ahead of wind and other dangerous conditions there before it won't be until midday tomorrow before we really start to get a full assessment of how bad things are. And frankly, there'll be many, first floors and 1-story, 2-story structures that are going to become uninhabitable.
Jessica.
Hi, Senator. Thank you for joining us. My question is about the nursing homes and the elderly population there. I know Governor DeSantis said that all the nursing homes do have backup generators. I was wondering if you had an update on if there's been any power outages in those facilities and generally how the older people in Florida are faring in this.
Well, I don't want to give a number count because I think that's what the State Department of Emergency Management is going to do here at 5:30. My understanding from the pre-event updates is that people have either been evacuated if they're in low-lying areas, or if they're in their areas that are going to lose power, they should have backup power that should last them for at least 3 to 4 days, because it'll be hard to resupply them. So that's all very good news. And obviously, because those centers, we know where those centers are, we know the population count, and that'll be one of the first places that responders will go to do a well-being check on the residents. But many have moved or been moved to other areas, and arrangements were made in that regard. So we have a better count of that. And as I said, most of them, if not all of them now, do have backup power. And if they don't, they've moved their people. So far, so good. But we'll wait for a deeper update on the numbers there. But on that front, I feel pretty good that there's been massive improvements made from 4 years ago.
Janine.
Senator Rubio, it's Janine Pirro. One of the things that I heard Rick Reitmuth talk about was that there were 1 million without power. So for those people who didn't heed the warnings and made a decision to stay at home, Florida's been through this before. What happens to them?
Well, that's 1 million customers, so that's probably a lot more than 1 million people. If it's a household or a business or what have you. So right. I would just say that now, So now what happens is, and that number is going to continue to climb. I mean, virtually anywhere that this hurricane goes through is going to lose power to a great extent because these lines just come down, and it takes time to restore it. So now you get to that point where, depending on where they are, hopefully they've charged their cell phone and cell phone service is working so they can be in touch with people. But what you'll find now for a substantial period of time until that power is restored is you can't go to a gas station because even if there's gasoline there, they can't pump it. You can't charge your phone. You're going to have to rely on battery power. The roads might be uninhabitable, so you're not be able to move. So it's a tough time. Even for people that didn't have to evacuate are going to face that inconvenience. Our crews are very good at restoring power, but there are limits to how quickly they can move. The grid is a complicated thing, and you got to have access to it. So I think people that are in these areas without power, depending on why they lost power and where they are, you could be talking upwards of a couple weeks in some cases before people are going to be able to have power in that structure again. My sense is that as we move forward, we'll understand and have a better understanding of the people that actually have nowhere to live. We have to find them emergency housing, which is what FEMA steps in and helps the state with. Others just need for the power to come back on. And in the meantime, we hope we can get grocery stores and gas stations working, and so people have access to those things. The quicker those things come up, the easier it is for a community to move forward.
Thank you.
Senator, thank you so much. You guys seem very well prepared down there, but this thing seems like a real beast, and we're praying for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.